Hey guys, King of Charmass here. Today I'll be a judge, your jury, and your analyst. And today we have the... Have you ever watched Toy Story? It's a fantastic movie. You probably have. It was my childhood. You probably watched Toy Story 4, like, you know, one of the previous adaptations. But you know what? This is... It looks like Buzz Lightyear had, like, if this was a toy and it was in the Toy Story, it'd be, like... It would totally sell. I mean, look at it. It's so freaking cute. Anyways, Falinks is in Sword and Shield. If you haven't played Galar, that's probably why you've never realized that this mod actually existed. I actually really went hard for the shiny for this one when it actually came out, and I expect for other people, once this thing shiny actually releases, to do so as well. What makes Falinks really interesting, it's not a steel type, it's actually a pure fighting type. It's a pure fighting type, and it maxes out at near 2500, so that means it's best used for Ultra Premier Cup at level 50. I mean, come on, like, almost everything nowadays, like, for some odd reason, is like, hey, bro, you gotta be, like, level 50 eligible or something like that. It's, like, it's really freaking hilarious. Like, dang, dude, alright, time and money, but mostly money. So, Falinks is really interesting because it has a really balanced, its stats are very balanced. It doesn't have, it's not like a super glass cannon, it has a decent amount of defense and stamina, and because of that, it actually, even though it has superpower as a second move, you can actually superpower some things to death, but we'll get to that later. Anyways, pure fighting types are weak to fairy, fightings, and psychic, but the thing about pure fighting types like Machamp, they resist bug, dark, and rock, so an even amount of weaknesses as well as resistances. Now, what makes Falinks really interesting is because of what I mentioned before. You have the crappiest move in the game, but you also have Super Saiyan. Falinks are superpower, basically. So you do have superpower, you also have Mega Horn. Mega Horn is a fantastic move, it does a ton of damage, also gives you a chance to cover those psychic types. A chance, okay? I'm not saying throw your Falinks into Cresselia and pray that the Space Duck doesn't, like, Moonblast you to death. However, what makes Falinks really good, it actually has counter. On my first look analysis, I said, if you give this thing counter, it may be very good. And sure enough, Falinks actually got counter. So with the most powerful overall fast move in the game, let's get started. Alright, so this is the part you probably skipped to. This is the PvPoke.com Matrix. So if you watch Small Soldiers, great movie, by the way, definitely recommend you watch it. Falinks, as you see here, the Small Soldiers I have are going to be the rank 1. Here's the rank 1 Falinks, as you see here. And you can get to 51, but it's kind of not, like, it's like 50.5. So just get the level 50, don't make it that complicated. There are better things to Best Buddy in this meta without using Falinks. So just use level 50. There's the rank 1 right here. And I also have a default. So this one has a little bit of attack. You're not going to use Brick Break, Superpower, and Mega Horn will be your standard moveset. We already got the Ultra League meta to the right, our Ultra Premier Cup meta to the right, and then we hit Battle. So the thing about Falinks is that it's a pretty good mod. It's a pretty, like, it's not super hard to use. There's a few things you must take a note of, but I'll get to that later. So, the good thing about Falinks, you will beat the crap out of Ice and Steel types, or basically anything that punches through that fighting types will do. So, Abomasnow is an Ice type. You also will beat through Apollyon because it's a Steel type. You can also outpace... You'll also just destroy Excadrill, Ferrothorn, again, like fighting types, rock types in Alolan Golem, and also Ice types, Lapras, Magnezone, etc. Also, things that you resist, for example, like Umbreon, of course you're going to beat the unholy crap out of that because you resist Snarls, but at the same time, if it's a Snarl Alola like you see here, you also convincingly beat that as well. So, very, very interesting and useful mod. The good thing about it is that you also beat a lot of other fighting types. You are able to beat Blaziken. If you watched over here, we got Blaze, you beat Blaziken, you beat KFC, Chicken, Hot and Spicy deal. The Hot and Spicy is actually pretty good. I don't know, like how do you guys feel about KFC? Like, Popeyes is like the king, but like, they say, for me, I'm Filipino, so it's Jollibee, so Jollibee is amazing. But anyways, you do beat a bunch of other, like, fighting types, Scrafty, of course, because Blaziken, Blaziken, and the one you Excavalier, another pseudo fighter. The one you don't beat, and the one I'm talking about, is Machamp. You won't beat Machamp, and the two are the ones just because of cross jump. Just putting that out there. Also, you will lose against pretty much anything, like counter resist, Charmers, poison type users. We already went over this, but if it does resist counter, generally you will lose against it. Generally. So just keep that in mind. Also, oh wait, Surfetch is another big one. That's what I was looking for. As you see, you also lose against Slowbro, Skarmory, against Confusion users. Be very careful against them. But that's what makes Falinks kind of easier to use. Now, here's what makes it hard. So in the 2-shield, you can beat Swampert. You can, and it's a convincing, like, this is the funny part. So, here's what happens when you face Swampert in the 2-shield. You can straight superpower it to death. 3 turns can flip the scenario, but being debuffed, despite being debuffed, you can go down, double shield right here, superpower once, bait the shield, and then you could double superpower, and that will take out Swampert in the 2-shield. A very complicated matchup. So you build up to 2 superpowers, you fire 1, build up to 2, and then you fire 2 back-to-back, and then that's GG's for the Swampert. So if you lag, that can kind of suck, but this is how it's funny. Because Falink's stats are pretty balanced, you're able to survive enough damage against 1 Hydro Cannon when you're debuffed to be able to take out your opponent. And your opponent will never get to another Hydro Cannon. So if they get to 3, they won't get to a 4th. So this is where IVs kind of matter. As you see with this matchup, you do need one with you need a rank 1 or close to a lot of bulk for you to make that scenario happen. As you see here, if the HP stat is a little on the low side and you do on the heavy attacker side, you won't get to it basically. So they will be able to get to a Sludge Wave / Hydro Cannon, and then you just will die, just because of the small amount of HP you have left. So IVs do matter. Rank 1 for Ultra Premier Cup. Yes, I would say it's better, so this is where IVs really matter for that specific matchup. Another thing is Kingdra. So that matchup and Kingdra. So Kingdra, if you do have a high rank 1, you can squeeze out a W with Kingdra. This is assuming that Kingdra does debuff you. So in the 2-shield, this is why I'm going really long. This is why the 2-shield is like super long. But the rest is going to be pretty fast. But as you see here, even if they do debuff you, as you see here, the Octazooka, there's a debuff in between here. You'll shield, as you see, you're going to shield both. So you'll shield both of them anyways. But if you get 1 debuff, you can still beat Kingdra. You just you back to back. You get 1, you get 2, you fire 1, and then you go back to, and then you fire another one. So it's really complex. But as you see here, if you just go straight superpower, you will win. But it's barely. I wouldn't bank on this. This also really depends on whether or not the Kingdra has great IVs. If you're facing a rank 1, like you see here, because the matchup is so close, Kingdra will win. So this is a super specific matchup. So don't bank on it. As far if your Kingdra has good enough IVs, it can drag it, and it does debuff you. It can take you out if it's able to debuff you. So just be very careful. So even if they do get 1 debuff, it's fine. But as you see here, if Kingdra has good enough IVs, it'll beat you regardless of whether it gets a debuff. It'll beat you. So just be very careful. Those are the 2 matchups you really have to look for, because if you use Falinks as a closer, it might be really rough because it's going to be hard to tell whether the IVs are good enough or not. Just bank you're going to lose because it's a really close matchup. But other than Kingdra and other than Swampert, again, you generally beat what you're supposed to beat. There is one Dark Horse matchup, though. If you have a little bit of attack, you could beat a little Ninetales. But again, like the Kingdra matchup, just don't bank on it. Rank 1, or the highest rank possible, is the best one I could think of. Alright, so the 2-shield was really long, so here's the 1-shield. As you see in the 1-shield, the good thing is in the 1-shield, you pick up Ampharos. You also pick up... I have to go over here. Don't look at this. You don't actually pick up Galvantula. If it goes straight lunge, it will beat you. So don't bank on Galvantula. However, what you do pick up is Machamp. So this is really weird. For some matchups, this is what you do in the 1-shield. You have to bait with Mega Horn, and then you're going to hit Superpower. In Machamp's case, some of these matchups, as you see with Machamp, you can back-to-back Superpower, as you see here. Back-to-back Superpower, and that should take out Machamp in the 1-shield. So you can eat 1 cross chop. So the good thing is in the 2s, you drop Machamp, but you beat it in the 1s and the 0s. So it's good that you're able to beat Machamp, which is probably your worst nemesis as far as fighting type goes. Now here's what I mentioned. So you beat Meganium in the 1-shield, but it's actually incredibly weird. So here's what you're going to do. As you see, you will straight Mega Horn with Meganium. Some matchups you will double Superpower. Some matchup you will straight Mega Horn, like with Meganium. And then when it comes to Roserade, as you see here, with Roserade, you will Mega Horn, and then you have to Superpower. Kind of makes you want to just play Machamp, right? Like, I mean, like, yeah, like, as you see here, you have to bait with Mega Horn, and then you go Superpower. You can't just straight Superpower, unfortunately. You have enough bulk to get there, but unfortunately you can't just straight superpower. You have to Mega Horn bait and then superpower. Generally, they'll shield anyways because if you hit them with, if you hit a Rosar or the Mega Horn, you'll most likely KO it. So just keep that in mind that Falinks is very weird in the 1 shield. The 2 shield, it's just like superpower, 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 or Mega Horn. Here, it's like double superpower, double Mega Horn, etc. If you're practicing or looking to do a certain matchup, just make sure you know what you're doing. Just because, like I said, like some can be really weird. Like here's Tangrowth. As you see, you bait with Mega Horn. They will shield it because it's a pure grass type. It will get KO'd. And then you superpower. And then that will KO. So some matchups are really, really weird. Double check the Matrix. Like I said, you generally be what you're supposed to be. Umbreon, etc. Just in the 1 shield, it gets really, really weird. Alright, so here's the closer when you have no shields. Now the good thing compared to the 2s and the 1s, there's no crazy baiting or anything like that. Generally, this is what you're gonna do. If it's weak to Mega Horn, you use Mega Horn. If it's weak to Superpower, you use Superpower. Here's an example with Obama Snow. You will Superpower it to death. Just so that, because Superpower literally just like destroys it, so. That's an Obama Snow example. Here's an example when it comes to Tangrowth, for if you're going to use Mega Horn. So that's basically all the zeros is. If you're going to beat it, Mega Hornet or Superpower. Again, other than that, you're going to lose to whatever usually resist counter anyways, or whatever outpaces you. The zeros is where Swampert can beat you as well as the 1s, just because Hydro Cannon is so powerful. You will still lose against things like Charmers, like as you see here with Togekiss and Sylveon, you'll still lose against them just because fighters don't like Charmers, and as you see, Confusion users as well. Even against Gallade, even if you Mega Hornet, you won't ever get to it just because Confusion just wipes you from the face of the earth. And that's pretty much GG's. But yes, the zeros is ironically the easiest way to understand Falinks. Again, if it's weak to fighting, use Superpower. If it's weak to Bug, use Mega Horn. Or if you don't think you can get to Mega Horn, use Superpower. Alright, now the 1-0s is pretty interesting. You pick up a few matchups, which is pretty much to put it blatantly, you pick up the Confusion users. You'll pick up Bronzong. You also pick up Gallade. As you see here, you can use Mega Horn to take out Gallade, as well as things like Slowbro, and let's see, what's another Confusion user? I think that's pretty much it. Basically, you'll be pretty much all Confusion users as long as you're in the 1-0 scenario. Other than that, every other matchup, as you see here, is able to pick out as basically the zero shield. You do pick up a few flyers as well. For example, you can beat Skarmory in the 1-0s. In the 1-0s, you're able to superpower to death. And being able to block that Sky attack or that 1 charge move basically allows you to win the matchup. So just double up or just straight up nuke it to oblivion in the 1-0s. 2-0, same thing. 2-0s, you pick up a few flyers like Altaria, but other than that, it's the same slice of bread. In the 2-0s, just Mega Horn or double Superpower as required. Or if you're able to get there, if you have chip damage, etc. So 1-0s, 2-0s, not too off. Despite this, though, even if you're 1 in the 2-0s, you won't beat Charmers. Charmers will destroy you. Keep that in mind. It doesn't matter whether or not you're in the 1-0s, 2-0s, you're still going to get destroyed by Charmers. Now, if you have shield advantage in the 2-1s, it's a little interesting. In the 2-1s, it kind of operates very similar to like the 1 shield. You just have a lot more room. You're also able to beat Altaria, as you see here. You're able to defeat Altaria. It's very interesting how you beat it, though. As you see here, when the 2-1s, all you do is you basically Mega Horn it to death. Mega Horn, Superpower. Super complicated. So, it's not really, it's very complicated. So you see in the 2-1s, like, 2-1s, again, it's basically like the 1 shield. You just have an extra shield to work with, so very, very similar. But you beat a lot of matchups with shield advantage, as you see here. Again, you're still going to lose to Charmers regardless. So you're still going to lose to Charmers. If they have a shield, you can still also lose to Talonflame. So some matchups you just can't get around, whether you have shield advantage or whether you have, like, you're in the 1 or 2-0s. And that's GG's. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Falinks, as amazing and as cute as it is, it's absolutely freaking adorable in my opinion. Unfortunately, it's super hard to run. If you're looking for a better fighter or just more available fighters, things like Sirfetch'd or Machamp will, in my opinion, just like not only is easier to handle, but that they're actually more available. Falinks has to be an XL, that's the big problem with it, and IVs do matter, as you see in the 2-shield analysis. Some things can flip here and there. It's really complex and kind of not worth the headache to it, so I would just recommend Machamp. Otherwise, the few matchups I mentioned right here, Falinks can do well in Ultra League as well, Ultra Premier Cup. It's where it functions the best as far as Ultra League goes. In Open Ultra League, Machamp is better for sure. But in Ultra Premier Cup, as you see here, it's still very complex. Like, Superpower is not a very friendly move. Mega Horn, you kind of just nuke everything to death. But with Superpower, as you see, you have to back-to-back. You have to, like, triple threat. 3 punches, not 1 punch man, 2 punch man, 3 punch man. Or in this case, 3 punch Falinks. But it's really complicated. And again, it's expensive. So unless you really want to use it, I wouldn't recommend it. Is it very strong? Yes. It's just so painful to use as far as, like, knowing what you have to do. Baiting with Mega Horn and using a superpower after that is very complex, and like I said, even I wouldn't use it just because it hurts your head a lot. Is it fun? Yes. Is it hard? Yes. Is it expensive? Of course it is, so I wouldn't use it at first thought. But Falinks is still very powerful. If you want to use it, here's the analysis. It can do very well in Ultra Premier Cup, like I mentioned, as long as you have a little bit of a hint of what you're doing. Just because counter is so powerful. Hope you guys enjoyed the video again. If you do me a huge favor, please like and subscribe. It's totally free. All you have to do to subscribe is put your mouse to that little box at the bottom right. It says subscribe. Put your mouse over it. It'll easily pop up. You can easily subscribe from there. All my current subscribers, I really do appreciate you guys. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you on the next video.